So in this short clip, I'm going to show you how to create a maze game. So you have here the code. You can see the code here and the sprites and backgrounds that I've created over there. I'll run the game just to show you what it's going to do. So this is a simple maze game. We have a ball, which I'm moving up and down, and I make sure that I move the ball. Now notice if I hit the walls, I bounce back, and we go through. And we just make sure we've got to get to the end where that green box is, and there we go. I've got to the end, and it says, well done, you have exited the maze. So that's just a simple game. Now obviously I can change the colours of the boxes and so forth, but that's what you're going to do in a second. So I'll take you through how we would do that. So starting off with a blank screen. So on the screen here, I have the normal cat sprite and the no code or background. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my sprite. Now I don't want the cat sprite, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to create another sprite, and I'm going to have a ball, as we've had in the past. So it doesn't matter what colour ball you have. I'm going to do that. Now notice my ball is slightly big, so I'm going to make it a lot smaller. So change the size, like so. And I'm going to position it around about in the corner at the start. Now to remember, when we start the code, so we go to events and we say when clicked, so when you start the game, we want to make sure that the ball starts where I said it is, just over there. So remember, we go to motion, that's anything to do with X or Y coordinates or motion, and we're going to go to X, Y. Now if I look at this, the current position is minus 216 for the X and 150 for the Y. So we go in there and we go minus 216 for the X and 150. So when I run this part of the code, it will always start at that position. So now I need to draw the actual maze. To do that, I'm going to do that as a backdrop, which is this backdrop here. Okay, so that backdrop on the right hand side, and we click on here and we've got this backdrop. Now notice there is nothing there at the moment. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to create a box. So I'm going to do a box, outline as a black colour. You can change that if you like, and I'm going to use purple. So I'm just going to create some random boxes for my maze. I'll just make this maze really simple. Obviously you can make it slightly more complicated. And I'm then going to put a green box for when I get to the end. Well, I'm going to call that my end box over here. Okay, that's my end box. And I can just make it a little bit clearer by putting some text in there. Let's see. End. Okay. So that's where my box is there. So now I've created my very, very simple maze. Maybe I want to move that perhaps a bit to the side. There, and put that there. And I'll just make sure I can see that. And there you can see what it's going to look like on the right hand side over there. So that is my backdrop. Now what I'm going to do is now going to create some code. So this code will say, check, okay, we'll say when I click, I start from the beginning. That's what I've put there. And I'm going to do a loop now called a repeat loop, and I'll explain what loops are because we have done it before. So what I'm going to do is go to events, so control, sorry, and then I'm going to hopefully put a repeat loop, if I can find it, repeat until. Now what a repeat loop does is it will repeat the code that you put in here until a condition is met. Now I'm going to keep on playing my game until the ball hits the end, which is the green over there. So what I have to do in this bit is say, okay, repeat the following code until my little circle equals or touches the green bit at the end. And I can do that quite easily. I can say, okay, I'm going to sense, and I'm going to say keep repeating until I touch that colour there. Now I can make sure it's that colour by clicking on this here, and it says what colour do you want me to do, and this little thing here which says I'm going to get the colour, this colour here, so when I touch this colour I end. Now I put the outline on that colour black. I probably could have changed that to green because it's going to go through the black before it hits the green, because this little bit is black here. But don't worry, we can change that later. So I'm going to say repeat until, so I'm going to repeat all the code in here until I'm touching a certain colour. So the first thing I'm going to do is, obviously when I move, I need to detect what key I'm pressing like we've done in the past and move in that direction. So this time, rather than using the events, I'm going to use the if function, the control, and I'm going to say if. So as you can see, so key up arrow is pressed, then do this. So this is the code that's going to run in the repeated loop. So when I click the up key, I need it to move accordingly. So what I need to do is I need to point it in the direction of going up. So we go to the motion and we say point in the direction going up, and I want to move it 10 steps. Okay, so now when I run the code, if I just to check that I am actually doing it right, I can go up, but I can't do anything else at the moment. I can just go up. So what I need to do, I need to replicate that code for going up, right, left and down. Now to save me a little bit of time, I'm going to click on this bit here and I'm going to duplicate that bit of the code 4 times for each direction, as you can see here. So that just saves me a little bit of time, because I'm just saying duplicate this block of code. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So up, down. So to go down, I'm going to point in the down direction and move 10 steps. To go right, I'm going to point into the right direction, and then to go left, I'm going to go in the left direction. So now we've got up, down, right and left, and each time we move 10 steps. So if I just check that works, you can see, look, I go left and right. Now what I haven't done yet, so you'll notice the next stage is, look, I can walk through walls, which obviously we don't want. So how do we stop that? So the next thing we need to put in is say, well, hang on, if I'm touching a wall, then I have to go back to 10 steps. Rather than moving 10 steps, I need to go back. So I've moved 10 steps into the wall, I need to come out of the wall. And I do that by using another if function. So again, I'll go to my if function, and I'm going to put at the beginning here, or at the end, doesn't really matter. I'm going to say, okay, that's wrong. Do it again, if function, just make sure I get it just right. Put it over here. There we go. So I'm going to say, if I am touching, same as what we did before, if I am touching the purple colour, so I'll just go on here, click the colour, I'll use that to detect, I'll find my purple colour, yep, that colour there. If I'm touching that colour, then I need to move minus 10 steps. I need to move away from where I was, wherever I was pointing, I need to point in the other direction. So that will move me away from the wall. Okay, so now when I run it, you will find I can no longer go into walls, as you can see here. Okay, so which is pretty good. Okay, can't go into walls. Well, let me go. But I can finish the game as it touches the green there. So that seems to work. If I go back 10 steps if I move or get in the way. So now the next thing I need to do is say to myself, okay, now I hit the end of the thing, but the game hasn't told me that I finished the game. I haven't, it just stopped, because it stopped going in that loop and it's end of the game. So what I'm going to do now is add end game scenario, just to tell me that I've finished the game. Now to do this, we need to be a bit clever. I'm going to create another sprite, and this time, I'm going to paint the sprite. I'm going to create my own sprite, and this time I'm going to say, in this sprite, I'm just going to put the words end exited maze, well done. So that's basically saying end of game. Alright, so I can move this around. If I wanted to change the colour, I can change the colour, let's say like red, or I can make it slightly bigger, which I'm going to do. There we go, I'm happy with that. That's done. So now I have a sprite that says exit the maze. I might put it there. Let's have a look. Now at the moment, the sprite, obviously if I were to run the game as it is, that will permanently display exited maze. I don't want it to do. I only want it to display that sprite when I hit the end game. It's really easy to do that. Again, when I click the start, now notice I'm putting the code in this sprite here. I've got this sprite selected and I'm putting the code when clicked, and I'm going to show, when I look, I'm going to hide myself when I start the game. You won't see it when I run the game, but then when I hit the end I want it to display. So what we do is go back to our original code. Now we do this thing called broadcasting messages, which is a very simple way of saying broadcasting a message from this sprite across the whole game. So I'm going to say on here, broadcast a message at the bottom, and I'm going to create my message here. Now not just any message, I'm going to go a new message, and I'm going to say my message is going to be end game. That's going to be my message. I'm going to broadcast that now, and this sprite will say, okay, when I receive the message, you've got lots of messages, I'm going to click on the one I've just created, endgame. When I receive the end game message, I'm going to show myself. I'm going to show me. So when I start the game, I'm hidden, but when I receive the message end game, I'm going to show. So when we run it, again, nothing happens. And then when I hit the end, exited maze, well done. Right. So now we have created a game. We've created a very simple maze game. What I want you to do is replicate what I have just done. So that code here and this code here, and you can freeze and pause this video so you can see the different elements of code. And when you've done this, I'd like you to try and, as an extension, maybe add points as you move, so you get more points the more you move, or you can have it so that when you hit a wall you lose a life. I don't know, adapt it as much as you like. Maybe make a more complicated maze. My maze wasn't particularly complicated, you make it more complicated. And maybe you could, if you're feeling particularly brave, have other objects, so when you pick them up you might get points and so forth. What I'll do next lesson is we'll take this one step further and develop maybe an alien moving, so that if you hit the alien you get killed and you have to start from the maze again. So we can have a look at extension exercises. So hopefully that'll be enough for today.